Hey everyone, welcome back to the Your Crush podcast. My name is Sid Pace, your secret admirer, your dream girl, and your crush. Oh my goodness, it has been such a fun time being your crush for 2025. And I just want to give you all a pat on the back. Good job. We all made it through a year of me yapping about who knows what. Like we talked about everything and nothing at the same time. You know, like if it made sense, it made sense. If it didn't, then you just kind of like smiled and moved on, fast forward through the episode or something. Whether you've like listened to all the episodes or one episode or none of them and you just be stalking me on Instagram like the stalker you are, like I'm okay with that because all crushes deserve to be stalked. You know what I mean? And I have loved this podcast so much. Way back when I was in 7th grade, I just wanted to start a YouTube channel and Mama Pace was like, no, we're not doing that. But 2025 honestly has flown by. I feel like January and February are the longest year of my life. And then March to December is like the quickest day of the week, But let's just recap to the first episode when I introduced myself as your crush, Sid Pace. Hey, I've always wanted to do something like this, something creative, something that involved like content creation in some way or form. Not really an influencer because props to them. I do not want to do that. I don't want to film every second of my day. Actually, I do. And then I put out my private story, but I don't want to like post it for the world, Anyway, in 7th grade, I had this dream of having a YouTube channel, and I talked to Mom and Pace, and she was like, no, we're not doing that. And I was like, it's kind of sad about it. And look at Emma Chamberlain now. Like, me and her could have been buddies, but it's okay. We'll become friends in another lifetime, I guess. Once we decided that we didn't want to be introverted Sid anymore, we grew up, and we ran for student body office, and we got bullied, and it was a good time. And we did some dance, and went on a mission, and then went to college and then became part of the activities team, the activities vice president, met amazing friends, graduated. Now we have an adult job and I'm paying for my own insurance. Whew, that was a lot. But there was a Sparks Note version of my life, of Your Crush. And here we are making a podcast, and the Your Crush podcast has been something that's been literally the perfect outlet for me in so many ways. It's been something for me that has helped me feel fulfilled in so many ways. Throughout the year, we kind of talked about personal growth, pop culture, and relationships. And to be honest, that's all that occupies my brain 24/7 of the day, is one of those topics that just makes me who I am. It's something that I think about. It's something that I like continue to try to work on, whether that's like hanging out with my family and friends or making those connections stronger, or having a crush and dating somebody for a good amount of time and like learning a lot about who you are. And you only just like appreciate them because we love those character development moments. Yep, we do. And from like episode 1, I was so scared, like talking on the mic. Literally, it's just me in this empty room with a camera staring at me. We put it together and we probably have like the best podcast you guys have ever listened to. So thank you so much for listening. I think I've had like I literally just counted this. We have had 21 guests on the Your Crush podcast, and each one of those guests, honestly, have talked about something different and meaningful and like who they are, what they're doing with their lives. And it's been so much fun. All of these guests have been like people that I admire and I look up to. And I just think at the end of the day, everyone has a part of like their story that they can share with other people. If not their whole story they can share with other people. And as I've sat down with all of these guests, and all of them have shared like their stories and their like takeaways of life and like their celebrity crush, because we know that's important to have a crush. But it's been cool to like have a space where people feel like they can share. And as like the person interviewing them, I can tell that like all of my guests have just enjoyed like giving their 2 cents into something, because everyone has something to say. And so me being the podcaster, the host, it's been fun to like give them that platform and just like see how much they light up when they've shared something that they're passionate about. And I just like live, laugh, love it so much, and this podcast has been amazing. I've learned so many lessons just about myself in the year of 2025. For real, I just wrote down some like few random thoughts that I've had of just the conversations that I've been having on the show, and I just wanted to share them with you because like why not? It's my podcast, So like I mentioned in a few of my podcasts, especially at the beginning, is that this podcast has been such a fun passion project for me. I originally started it because, well, 1, I've always wanted to make little 7th grade Sydney proud, but also 2, I didn't have homework to do anymore. Like we were done with school and people were telling me, okay, now that you're done with school, like get into the full-time job, being an adult. And that was like, I still am refusing to be a full adult, and I refuse to go to bed at a normal time because I don't know, if I go to bed early, like 10 p.m., then I'm like caving into a life of an adult, and I don't really want to do that. So we stay up till 1 a.m. and are sleep deprived. But like, details. This passion project has kind of replaced that homework void, which is kind of weird to say because you're like, when you're in school, you're so ready to be done with homework. But then when you don't have it anymore, you kind of miss it. And that's weird. Luckily, um, this podcast has not felt like homework to me. It's been fun. I think there's definitely been a lot of like lessons I've had to learn with like balance on like how I could continue to like have more fun, and things I need to change to make it more flexible with like the day-to-day of my life, because it's never the same. Moral of the story is I've loved this podcast, and I've learned so many things throughout the year behind the mic, if you will. That was kind of fun. Behind the mic, lessons of behind the mic. I've learned a lot about just who I am, and I feel like it's improved my all-around being. I talked a lot about this in previous episodes. It's just like how important those character development moments are in our lives to make us who we are. Is that like being patient with yourself as you're becoming this new person is so important, because first of all, you've never been that person. So like you got to have more grace for yourself. And when people say, oh, you just have to have more grace, like I literally do not know what they're talking about. Like probably until like a couple months ago, where I feel like I finally like caved in and I was like, okay, like what is this idea of giving grace to ourselves? Well, I can successfully say that I've done it a few times. Not every time. I'm not a professional at it by any means, but I can say that I feel like I've grown more to love myself and just like let myself be what I need to be. Because in the past, I honestly feel like the fake it till you make it slogan, honestly, like I take to heart, because sometimes it's hard to show up when you don't really feel like you need to. There's been a lot of times in my life where I've like done that, and I think when you do that for a long time, then it just kind of, you just get like lost in the sauce, and it's hard to, I don't know, just like give yourself grace and be like, hey, I don't need to do that because I don't have the energy, or I am kind of outgrowing these people, so I'm going to step back instead of just like going and like submitting to like what they want to do. Submitting might be a little bit of a strong word, but you get what I'm saying, hopefully. And if you don't, yeah, it's okay. That's just your crush podcast is sometimes we don't know what's happening and we're just like yapping. Especially growing up, like everyone is taught by their parents something that is like normal, and then you grow up and you're trying to like figure out who you are, and sometimes those things that you were taught like need to change. Sometimes they gotta go, and those habits can be hard to switch and to change. Sometimes things happen in our lives that kind of change who we are and like shift a lot of our perspectives. In these moments is like an opportunity for us to grow out of these habits or be somebody different, or take it, I don't know, I don't even say like everything in our life like we have to go through it to learn through a lesson, because sometimes honestly I think things just happen like on the time of other people, and like their decisions affect you. Like I guess what I'm trying to say is just like sometimes change is hard, and it's hard to accept the fact that like because of someone's decision to do something and how it affected you, like then changed who you are when like you had no plans of changing. Or like sometimes you apply for a program at school and you don't get in, and then like that sucks, and then you kind of change from there and apply for a different program, you get in, and it's like the best decision you've ever made. Sometimes change, actually all the time, I feel like change is hard, but change can be good depending on how we embrace it. And for me, I'm learning to embrace some changes about who I am and just like how I've lived my life based on these past events that have happened in my life. So I think I just went down a rabbit hole. So let me just pause, let me back it up a little bit and say change is hard, but I'm learning to embrace it. Sometimes we don't appreciate the events that have happened in our lives to cause the change, but I think it's what you decide to do once you've gone through that. And like I think it can just like change a lot. And embracing it will make life feel a little easier because you're more willing to like go with the flow of the change instead of like fighting it and trying to go back. And that's something that I'm in the midst of learning right now, and it's tough and it's kind of sucky to be honest, but there are positives that come with change, and I think if you look for it you'll find it, and if you look for the negative then you're gonna find the negative, and then what? Then like life's not gonna be a movie and you deserve to be living in a movie. So that's what I have to say about change. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I also want to say, as I've gone through this podcast and like reached out for friends to support and to listen and to share and have them share it with like their friends, and then just like putting yourself out there on freaking Spotify and Apple Podcasts and YouTube, where literally anybody in the world can access this content, and then also posting on Instagram, like, whew, that's kind of crazy, but I'm so happy that I've done it. I think it's shown me a lot of like the people I consider as my support system, but then even just like other people that I do know, like from high school or from dance or like just past jobs or whatever, and just like how much they've support. And that just has like made me feel more confident in this project, even though it's like low-key terrifying. But then also like when I see other people who are like starting their dreams of like being an influencer or starting a blog or doing a boutique or like something like that, like I think it goes a long way to show support, even if it's just like a comment or you see them and be like, hey, good job, or you ask them how it's going. So yeah, I think that's been cool, is just to see those little things kind of line up throughout the year. And with that, like just another lesson I learned is just like sometimes we have to lose people to gain the people who are truly going to be there for us and align with like our goals and our motivations and just like hype us up whenever we needed it. And it's just making more room for that. That has meant so much to me, and I feel like the people who are in my corner, I'm genuinely in theirs just as much. And so life is worth living, you know what I mean? And it's just like fun, and it's just fun to support. Like everyone's just going through something different, and we all play a different part in people's lives, and sometimes it's short-lived, sometimes it's forever lived. As time goes on and I feel like I get older and older, is like I don't need the whole school to be my friend. I just need like 3 or 4 solid friends. I'm good. I'm chilling. This podcast has also taught me how to be a better listener. Listen to all the details and pay attention, and then also be just more aware of like how I play a role in someone else's life. And like honestly, like sometimes you'd be like, okay, I don't play like the biggest role in their life, but I'm still gonna be supportive if they need me, and I'm still gonna be here. Sometimes you play more of a role where you're like just involved in all the details of their lives. And as I've been your crush behind the mic, things that I've learned during like an interview or like behind the scenes is the art of becoming is needed. And honestly, I'm so here for it. Like this podcast has pushed me out of my comfort zone for sure, 100%. And I've appreciated it in all the ways and in all the things. Thank you for listening to all the episodes, or one of the episodes, or like 30 seconds of one, or stalking me on Instagram, or you're only listening because I interviewed one of your crushes. And we just barely hit the tip of the iceberg. Like there's so much more that I want to share, so many things and stories and things that I could say. And that's why I got a podcast, is so I can just like air out my grievances and like talk about my exes and talk about my pop culture obsessions, and just like, you know, that's why we have a podcast. So here we are, tip of the iceberg, and I'm so excited to continue the Your Crush podcast. It has been such a needed passion project for me this year, and without it, I feel like I would just be in a different spot. And I think all my relationships would also be in a different spot, and just like the goals and the ambitions and like the ideas of what I want to do with my future, I think would be very, very different. So shout out to the Your Crush podcast. She's the best. Thanks. Yeah, I know. No paparazzi, please. Before we end this episode, some things that I just wanted to revisit. So 2025 was a year, and there's so many things that I did, so many things I didn't do, people that I dated, some people that I didn't date, and they were just like in my life for 2 seconds. But all of that to say is I've had a lot of crushes in the year of 2025, and I have loved and appreciated all of them. And I will say all the crushes that I had in 2025 definitely were good for the plot. Some of my crushes more than others, definitely gave me some good character development. Others were just like for fun. So let's revisit those. So in the year of 2025, some crushes that I had was obviously concerts. Like I literally could not shut up about them. Role model, especially, I think I talked about that for a solid like month and a half of episodes. Like I needed to relax, but it was amazing. I'm still thinking about it to this day. I love Tucker. And also the Tate McRae concert was so good. Megan Maroney was good. Some new artists that I went to that were really good was Emperor of the Sun. That one was really fun. The Jonas Brothers, I went to one of the Jonas Brothers concerts. Well, they like came out with Hannah Montana. Anyway, so that was kind of fun to see. Halsey, she put on a show. She definitely scared me when she sang Closer. It was like a rock version. Nevertheless, I love a good concert. Another crush that I had was when I went to the Tetons twice this summer. Both times were so much fun. It's literally gorgeous there, and I could spend all my money shopping in Jackson Hole. So I love the Tetons. And I also had a lot of good dance parties, honestly, in 2025, whether that was at the club or whether that was in my room or whether that was for somebody's birthday. And honestly, life is better when you have a good dance party. And I'm just saying, like, that's so facts. If you're in a bad mood, have a dance party and you're going to feel so much better by the end of the night. And if you don't feel better, then try it again. Maybe that's what I would prescribe to you. And lastly, one of my favorite crushes has been therapy. But it has been until this year when I feel like my therapist has been like such an icon, such a role model. I've always heard like, oh, like once you find the right therapist, like, and you click, like it's just gonna be a game changer. And I'm like, okay, well, I kind of get along with a lot of people, but sure. No, this therapist of mine, she is 10 out of 10, literally amazing. She's really good at asking questions, especially because I'm an avoidant attachment, if you will. She asks the hard-hitting questions and she's like, hey, be so for real, like tell me the answer to this, or like, have you ever thought of this, or what about this, and blah 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 blah. Anyway, so therapy has been one of my favorite crushes in 2025, and I just like appreciate the uncomfortableness of time when I talk about her like a friend and she just gets paid to hear me talk about my life and ask me questions. So love that. Because when it comes to having a crush in life, it's so entertaining, it's good for the plot, it's good for you, and it's fun just to be delusional, obsessive, not in a weird way, okay? And just have something that you like look forward to, whether that's like a movie, a book, a person, a trend, literally anything. You can have a crush on anything and anyone. And it's just fun. It's just better that way. Sometimes we think too much. So let's just underline that. Think too much. Sometimes that happens to us and it's okay. Sometimes we're guilty of it. Also, when we're like going through, this is like when you have a crush on a person, okay? When you're going through like the dating, sometimes we think it's a lot to ask for, but honey, it's like the bare minimum, and it's not that hard to like, it's not that much to ask for. It's not that much to be expected. Like, it just should be a thing, you know? Or if you're married with your crush, then like, just like you be yapping and you just like have that person that you can trust. And I think it's important to like keep things fresh. Just because there's so much more to learn and we're all becoming somebody different every single day. And like, we're all have our own goals, and like, whether that's like your individual goals or your couple goal or whatever, like we're always changing. So like, it's just good to keep things fresh and fun, and like it's good to have a routine for sure, but sometimes those routines should be broken, and that's just, as your crush, I think they should be broken sometimes. Whew. What a fun little episode this has been. What a fun year this has been. It has been such an honor to be your crush. Thank you for letting me be your crush for 2025. Hoping that you'll let me be your crush into 2026. This is something that I've loved and that has just like pushed me out of my comfort zone and helped me honestly think about what I want to do with my future. Just definitely brought some new ideas that didn't cross my mind before. So we're so back. That's all I can say. And this is going to be the last episode for 2025 because your crush has to go through a little glow up, and then we'll be back in January. And for more information on like when the next episode is going to be in 2026, follow my Instagram at the yourcrush.podcast, your crush with Sid Pace, on Instagram. If you want to be on the podcast, if you have something you want to say, you know where to find me. And thank you again. Shout out to all the guests, all the listeners. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. My name is Sid Pace, your secret admirer and your dream girl. Thank you for coming on this journey with me, and I'll be sliding into your DMs and your notifications in 2026. Love ya. Bye.